Hello, everyone. My name is Kyle Whittington, and I'm here to just share a little bit of my testimony. So, little background information. I was born in Portland, Oregon. For the first 11 months of my life, I lived in Vancouver, Washington. After that, my dad decided to move the family back to where he grew up in a little town called Boca Chica, Oklahoma. It is a suburb of Durant, Oklahoma, which nobody's ever heard of either, and which is about 2 hours north of Dallas, Texas. So it was right on the Red River, and pretty much everything that we needed to do was going to be in Texas. It'll be relevant later on in the story. So anyway, growing up in Oklahoma, it's the heart of the Bible Belt. It's not a very Catholic area. In fact, in my hometown, there was only one Catholic family. Now, providentially, that Catholic family had a very cute girl who was, just a few months younger than me. So eventually, things go on. I actually, in 2008, I got on a trip to go to Europe for like 20 days, and we spent a day or two in Rome and spent a whole day at the Vatican, which was a beautiful experience. I was kind of an art nerd, and it was really cool seeing all these things. And I had some questions in that, but I remember being so arrogant about that trip that I told the guy who ultimately became my RCIA sponsor, is like, haha, I'm more Catholic than you are, which looking back on it now is just what a stupid and ignorant statement. And so, anyway, I come back from this trip and I go to a concert. I was really big into Christian rock at the time, and Manic Drive was headlining this concert at St. Patrick's Catholic Church in Denison, Texas. So I go. And while I'm there, one of the youth leaders, she sees and she's like, "Oh, hey, you should come out and come see us sometime." And externally, I was like, "Oh yeah, of course, I absolutely will." Internally, I was like, "Absolutely not. This is a Catholic church. Nobody goes to those, and you're all going to hell." Though, I wasn't raised strictly anti-Catholic. It's just that whenever Catholicism would come up, it was never a positive. It was never a, "Oh yeah, no, the Catholics definitely have it right." So fast forward, the school year begins, and this cute girl from this wonderful Catholic family in Bochito invites me to church. And I'm thinking, you're really cute, but this is a Catholic church. I'm concerned about my soul. And if I go to a Catholic church, the ground might actually split open and I might go straight to hell. So thanks, but no thanks. And then some other friends that were also going, they were like, "Oh yeah, come on, just come on, it's fine." Because this girl was a fairly popular girl, really nice, really sweet. Spoiler alert: we didn't get married, we never even dated. But they said something that stuck with me, and I'll never forget it. They told me, "Kyle, there's going to be free pizza at the end." So I was sold. Boom, there. All right, cool. I'm going. And I show up, and sure enough, yeah, there was definitely free pizza at the end. The way they did it was really cool. The first part of the night was they did this thing called Band of Brothers. So it was just the young men, and we got to ask questions. There was a little lesson that was directed toward young men. Then we went to mass, and then afterwards, then we had the mixed group, the social group, and that's where the pizza came in. So it was really fun. But more importantly than mass was something that captivated my attention from start to finish. Father John of, well, at the time he was at St. Patrick's in Denison. He really had a way of connecting with teenagers. So he would cater his homilies directed at teenagers whenever he knew it was a youth night, and it was very very good priest. So I kept coming back. I kept coming back. And especially like at the consecration, I remember being so confused because, they'd ring the bells at the consecration. I thought there was an old timey telephone in the sacristy or something like that. And somebody was calling. And I was just like, oh, how dare this person call during the consecration? This is the most silent. I don't know what's happening, but this is something serious. And why is somebody calling? Oh, this is so embarrassing. It's completely clueless as what's going on. But especially at the end, I was like, that was huge. Something happened there. I have lots of questions. And because of the setting that we were in, I was able to ask all the questions. Now, of course, anybody who converted, nobody ever just like hears about Catholicism and goes, "Oh yeah, that sounds pretty great. I'll just I'll just hop on right on board." No, it's always a process, and you always have objections because if Catholicism is untrue, it's the most diabolical thing on the planet. So I raised my objections, which looking back on it now, these are like preschool objections. It's just like, oh, hey, you want to watch a 15-minute YouTube video on how to refute all these? So like things like calling priests father and stuff like that. Easy, easy stuff. But one thing that it did is that the leaders there, and these are my friends, they were there to rise to the occasion and answer these objections. And then I started noticing a trend of no matter what my objections were, there was an answer. And I mean, 30 years old, like, over a decade down the line, like that's still the case. There's still answers to every objection that I could possibly have. So I kept coming back, and eventually I start kicking around the idea of, hey, maybe I should actually convert. At this time, I'm around 17 years old. And I remember I asked my buddy Tyler, who eventually became my RCIA sponsor. I was like, so what does it take to become Catholic? And he was like, well, you have to start going on Sunday mornings. And I was a strictly like evenings only guy. And I was like, oh, give up my Sunday mornings? Absolutely not. That price is way too steep. So, so, but eventually, I remember the tipping point was at the time I thought Comedy Central was still the funniest thing ever. I can't remember the name of the comedian, but I'd seen this special before, and I knew that it was funny because I, laughed before because I was a teenager and had a terrible sense of humor. And at one point, the comedian says tells a priest joke, like insinuating that priests are pedophiles. And the first time around, whenever I watched that, I don't know if I remember it being particularly funny, but it was just kind of like okay, that's cute. But this time, I was legitimately offended. I turned off the TV and I was like, okay, I'm done with that. And as I was walking away to go do something else, I was like, whoa, okay. Whether I want to admit it or not, I've already converted. Now it's just time to make it official. So I knew that I needed to talk to my friend and say, hey, I think we need to get this ball rolling. And and then I was like, oh no, and I'm gonna need to tell my parents. So I remember telling my mom. It was like we had DVR, so we'd pause the TV. Mom, somebody called my mom, and she paused the TV. But before she could play it again, I was like, okay, it's now or never. And I said, hey mom, I think I need to convert to Catholicism. And I mean, you would have thought I was coming out of the closet. She was just like, okay, okay. Well, at least you're not becoming a Mormon. and she says, well, I've got two stipulations for you. One, you have to go do classes and get educated on it, and the two, you have to wait until you're 18, which this was like Lent of 2009. So the earliest I could do it was Easter of 2010, which was after my 18th birthday anyway, and I had to take RCIA, so I had to get educated on it. So I was like, well, mom, the church and you and the church are on the same page in this issue, so providentially. So I was like, okay, all right, yeah. So I went to RCIA, and by God's grace, I was brought into the church at the Easter Vigil 2010 at the age of 18. So if you stuck around this long, thanks. Thanks for listening. God bless.